It is called Rakshasutra, just as we bound Bali, the mighty Asur king. We bind you, be still, be still. These Puranic stories prove that Vishnu assumed different forms and fought against Krishna. Raja Bali, Raja Mihushansura, Raja Hiranyakashipu, etc., to impose his Aryan culture on the original inhabitants of the country. Vishnu and Indra were the pivot of Aryan civilization, and Krishna and Bali of the non-Aryan civilization. Those who believe that Krishna was an Aryan or Kshatriya should spare a glance on the era of Ram Ravana. Great historian D.D. Kusambi, in his book Culture and Civilization of Ancient Indian, writes, in the Rigveda, Krishna has been described as a demon and an enemy of Indra. His dark complexion indicates that he was a pre-Aryan inhabitant of India. Krishna was a valiant fighter and the god of the Yadu tribe. But due to persistent hostilities between various tribes, Krishna is eternal, but at the same time, he was brought up in Gokul to keep him safe from his maternal uncle. This brought about his association with Ahes, who were the cattle rearers of the early centuries of the Christian era. For the cattle rearers, who were gradually taken to farming, it was logical to accept Krishna rather than Indra as their god. The upper class people inhabiting the border areas were fair complexioned, and their view was that dark complexioned people were like a heap of blackened seeds that could never be mistaken for Brahmins by anyone, describing them as non-Aryan. In his book, Kosambi makes it clear that Krishna was an ardent opponent of animal sacrifice. Example, he was a protector of cows. Upadhyaya has made it clear that Krishna was a firm opponent of Indra, the god of the Brahmins. The evidence that has been unearthed so far indicates that Ahes and Krishna were not Aryans. They were the dark complexioned original inhabitants of the country who were in conflict with the Aryans. The Rigveda says, the squeezed, dynamic, fast-moving, shining sun goes around, slaying those with black skin. You should worship him. There are many such verses in the Rigveda that prove how bitterly the Aryans hated the original inhabitants of India and how they slayed them because of the color of their skin. The Rigveda and other scriptures describe the Ahes and Ahe hero Krishna as non-Aryan. Despite that, the original inhabitants of the country did not give up their love and admiration for Krishna. So the Aryans, who behaved cruelly with Krishna, made him into one of their gods. And the brave community that was descended from Krishna was assimilated into the Sanatan path. The question that now arises is, if Krishna was a non-Aryan, where does the Jitopadesh fit in? In Jitopadesh, Krishna describes himself as a god and talks about the superiority of Brahmins, and the Varna system, which are difficult to swallow. The Rigveda rebuts the claims made in the Gita. If according to the Rigveda, Krishna was an Asur and Indradrohi, which is an enemy of India, how could he have advocated the Varna system? Whatever Krishna supposedly says in the Gita in support of the Brahmanical system is false. The dark complexioned Asur, Krishna, can never be a prominent of the Varna system. So great was the influence of Krishna among the original inhabitants of the country that the Aryans were forced to include him in their pantheon. This was exactly the same technique that was adopted centuries later, vis-a-vis. Gautam Buddha, who was an opponent of Brahmanism, the Brahmins pronounced him to be an avatar of Krishna in the Guru Purana and thus appropriated him. Just as the Asur Krishna was assimilated into the Indian Aryan culture, the scientific teachings of Buddha were lost in the maze of Hindu rituals and customs. Thanks to Dr. Ambedkar's embracing Buddhism, we can find some Buddhists in the country. Otherwise, the Aryan had simply gobbled up Krishna and Buddha by declaring them incarnations of Vishnu and Krishna, respectively. How ironical it is that Krishna, who is described as an avatar of Vishnu, is battling against Indra. From the Vedas to the Mahabharata. I would only say that Asur Krishna was very popular. He was a people's hero. He was so popular that even the Aryan could not ignore him. All said and done, I have collected some facts from different sources regarding Krishna and Yadavs and presented them before the discerning readers. I leave it to them to decide who Krishna was and to which Varna do the Yadavs belong. Personally, I don't think this question is now unanswered. Unrelenting obsession with fair skin in India has been a subject of discussion for years. It has inspired campaigns such as Dark is Beautiful and Bend the Tube, which encouraged women to discard their fairness creams. And yet, the tendency to see fair people on television, in films, and to uphold them as the standard for beauty remains strong. Apart from popular culture, there is also a bias over skin color in religious iconography. The myriad of Hindu gods and goddesses, Lakshmi, Ganesh, and Shiva, are often fair-skinned in their visual representations. In India, where light skin is covered, a new campaign is reimagining popular Hindu gods and goddesses with a dark skin, writes the BBC's Jita Pandey in Delhi. The desire for fair skin is not new in India, and for centuries fair complexion has been considered superior. Fairness creams are among the highest selling cosmetic products in the country, and top Bollywood stars and actresses regularly appear in commercials endorsing fairness products. In recent years, creams and gels have been introduced which claim to lighten armpit hair and even female genitals, and advertisements encourage customers to believe that lighter skin tones would help them improve their lives by getting a better job or win them love. In the past few years, there have been campaigns such as Dark is Beautiful and unfair and lovely, calling on people to celebrate dark skin. Yet the unhealthy obsession with light skin has continued, and as art filmmaker Bharadwaj Sunday says, it's not just limited to healthy skin, earthly beings. It includes the divine too. All the images of the popular gods and goddesses that we see around us, photographs in our homes, shrines or prayer halls, online or calendars, stickers, posters, shops, and pasted behind auto rickshaws, all show them to be light-skinned. In a culture obsessed with fairness, my Sunday points out that even Krishna, who is described as a dark-skinned god in the scriptures, is often shown as fair. And also is the elephant-headed Ganesha, even though there are no white elephants in India, in the world. Has skin whitening in India gone too far? Unfair and Lovely, a new campaign celebrates dark skin. Video spoofs Indian skin lightening craze. Everyone here prefers fair skin, but I am a dark-skinned person, and all my friends are dark-skinned too. So how do I identify with fair-skinned gods and goddesses? According to writer and mythologist Devdutt Patnaik, the love for the fair complexion could be a hangover of our past. In an article for Verge magazine, he wrote, "The nomadic tribes who came from the northwest held the dark-skinned settlement communities of the subcontinent in disdain. Aryan gods like Indra were white, but this white supremacist flavor does not hold firm in the face of other evidence. Some say Shiva was a Dravidian god, a god of the settled communities, but he is described as Kapura Kuranja, he who is as fair as Kamfa. Some say that Vishnu and Ram are gods of the Aryan imperialists, but both are described as dusk." Published in the Washington University Global Studies Law Review, the author Neha Mishra writes, "Most Indians show apparent ignorance about the practice of exclusion and discrimination based on the skin tone of a person, although it is a deep-rooted problematic practice embraced by both the oppressor and the victim. This single practice has become so widespread in India, more so in the past 4 decades, that it has taken shape along the same lines as colorism of the Western world. However, the manifestation of the color discrimination in India differs as it hides behind various other variables. Caste, class, religion, region, gender, and economics are a few of these variables.